Hello and welcome to Simon Miller's Pro Wrestling Show. My name is Simon Miller. This is a pro wrestling show. And thank you so much for joining me today. My word, we are almost at the end of the year. The day that I am recording this is like 10 days left. And then we move on to 2020 and we will see what goes down. It's exciting when the new year comes around, if you're a wrestling fan, well, if you're a WWE fan, I should say, because you know that in January, they're going to get serious with the Royal Rumble and the road to WrestleMania, so you can look forward to that. Otherwise, though, look, if you listened to my show before, thank you so much. If you haven't, it's kind of like a two-pronged attack. You can get the live show that goes out on YouTube. Just search my YouTube channel, search for Simon Miller, give me a subscribe if you wouldn't mind. I'm almost at 100,000 subscribers, which I'm not going to do by the end of the year, but I would love to do it at some point. So yeah, if you could do me that little solid, I appreciate it. But also, all my personal projects and my wrestling career is supported by patreon.com/SimonMiller316. And I always like to give something back. I always do this little shtick before I bring somebody on. But hey, you may be brand new and you may have no idea what's going on. And again, patrons can come on the podcast and we can just have a chat and we can just discuss what's been going down. So I'm very happy to say for the first time, all the way from America, all the way from Texas, which is badass anyway, is my man John. John, how you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Good,
how are
dude.
you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good, man. Like, I'm drowning in work. But that's because we are building up to the crazy Xmas week where everything just everything slows down. But there ain't nothing wrong with that. So, dude, before we do start talking about some new stuff and some other things we've already planned, just give me like a top line thing about why you love wrestling, how you got into wrestling, just so we know where you're coming from.
Well, I remember, watching, back in like 2012, all the John Cena versus Kane stuff on YouTube, and I was a little kid back then, so big fan of John Cena. But then I used to take these drum lessons, and my instructor, his name was Paul. He said, "Oh, if you watch Monday Night Raw every Monday, then you'll really get into it." And I was like, "Hey, this stuff's pretty good." And then I started getting more and more into other wrestling promotions, and I was like, "Hey, this wrestling stuff's pretty cool." So.
Nice, yeah. Dude. I like it. And look, obviously, 2019 has been a crazy year. Most of us get started on WWE. Something that could change in 2020. I was telling this to someone the other day. We now live in a world where, as long as everything goes well, in 5 to 6 years' time, you could be talking to a wrestling fan and say, "How did you get into it?" They go, "Oh, AEW." And you'd be like, "Oh, yeah. Right, crazy. Are you watching AEW, man? Have you jumped on that bandwagon too?"
Yes, sir. Can't help it. Can't deny it. I know. I hopped on the bandwagon. Stop watching WWE.
Oh, completely. So you stop watching WWE?
Well, 100%. I mean, I watch the highlights on YouTube if I see something cool, you know. But, yeah.
All right, dude. Well, let's start there. Let me start with another question. Do you watch NXT?
Ooh, I really wanted to get into it, and I know lots of people are going to hate me, but I don't know. I mean, I love the dudes there. Like, that is just, they're incredible talent. But, I mean, just... if I had to choose AEW or NXT, I gotta go with AEW. I mean, I should really start watching the highlights on YouTube, and I should really start getting into that more. But yeah, sorry.
No, dude, you watch wrestling how you choose to watch wrestling. That's it. There's no rules or regulation, not on my damn show. You do whatever you want. But what I wanted to talk about before we get into other stuff, of course, is the ratings came out this week for AEW and NXT. And let me just get up the official numbers, which I didn't do beforehand because I'm not smart. But, the tide, I wouldn't say the tide is turning, and I understand this as well. I mean, you'll be in a better position to talk about this than I, but obviously the Donald Trump impeachment coverage absolutely smashed the television ratings this week. It was going down on a Wednesday. Anybody, regardless of their demographic, was pretty much watching news shows, which I understand. Even I was sort of, tuned in over here, and it wasn't like 24-hour coverage. But it did mean that everyone was saying, look, NXT and AEW are going to take a hit, but we didn't really know what that was going to translate to. And as it turns out, NXT did 795,000 viewers. And I think for the first time, I don't think NXT has beaten AEW before. I know they drew last week. But AEW did 683,000 viewers. Now, you have to kind of throw these numbers out to a certain degree, again, because of the political landscape of Wednesday. But, I mean, I guess my question to you is, man, like, you are someone that's been watching wrestling for a while. All Elite Wrestling comes along, and clearly they are giving you a product that fills up your wrestling hole, right? You're like, I'm getting enough of my wrestling experience and wrestling love from All Elite Wrestling. But there's also essentially half their audience, if we look at it from episode 1, that has stopped watching. I would just preface this by saying I'm playing devil's advocate here. I don't think we need to worry about the ratings. But tell me what you like about the show, and maybe tell me what you think maybe could use improving from the show. Because, a lot of people, as always, are arguing that maybe there are, 500, 600,000 people that tuned in to watch AEW, and they went, meh, maybe it's not for me. So yeah, dude, tell me what you like and tell me what you maybe don't like so much.
Well, I know my friends are going to be like, really, John? Of course you'd be into that. But I love the ultra-violent stuff. I mean, I just haven't seen that in such a long time. And that's something, just brought me back when I saw Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega at Full Gear. Oh, it was just, Jon Moxley said himself, just beautiful pro wrestling violence. And I don't know. I like that stuff. And I like the cussing. Just like the Jungle Boy. One of my favorite moments so far was Jungle Boy just telling Chris Jericho straight up, I'm going to kick your ass. I don't know. I just thought that was like the best thing. But WWE, and it's just the same reason as everybody else. WWE is just PG. And it's just like, you could still do PG and have good matches. But when your stuff's mostly comedy, well, I mean, there's good matches. It's just there's so much comedy also with it. It's like I didn't come here to watch comedy. And if you're going to do comedy, don't have it to be like half the show, Like that Rusev, Lana, Lashley thing. They did it so much better when it was Edge, Matt Hardy, and Lita. And they're just trying to replicate it, trying to recycle storylines. I don't know. It's just oh, that's my dog. Sorry if you can hear her.
That's all good, dude. Guest appearance. No, I know what you mean. That's an interesting debate as well, because the PG thing has been around for a while. And I don't think ever since we've been having people on the podcast that somebody has brought that up, which is fascinating. So is it just a case of that you get, do you feel pandered? And do you kind of feel like WWE are sort of playing around with you a bit when they don't, they don't give you, I guess, mature, adult, grown up, whichever word you want to use it, wrestling? Like, because again, on AEW, some people go, oh, it's silly that they swear, but everybody swears, right? That's the whole point. Mm-hmm. Like, we can pretend that they don't, but they do. And you mentioned the ultra hardcore match, which again, we don't usually. You get a WWE hardcore match. I'm not saying those guys don't put themselves through a lot. They do.
Oh yeah, the Seth Rollins, Bray Wyatt thing at Crown Jewel. I mean, that wasn't ultra violent, but it was pretty something there.
Absolutely. No, that's such a good point. But of course, it was nowhere near the levels they went to in that Kenny Omega Jon Moxley match, which was was otherworldly. But so what about on a week-to-week basis, though? Because obviously you're not going to get that kind of level of hardcore match in AEW every single week. So would you like them to are you happy for them to eke those out, or would you kind of want them to just, throw the baby out with the bathwater and be like, man, let's just do hardcore stuff all the time?
You see, if they did hardcore stuff all the time, it would just be like, it's just like, oh, wow. Like for the first few weeks, it'd be like, yeah, this is awesome. And then they keep doing hardcore. And, they're gonna, eventually, because I saw something on Cody Rhodes' Twitter. There was a kid that was in like a really bad situation with his mom, and his dad was like, I think there was like a child abuse situation, but I don't want to get too into that. And he looked really young, like maybe 5, 6, 7, 8. And if they did hardcore matches, then, for the kids' sake, they'd probably stop watching. But for like hardcore wrestling fans, such as, myself, it would just be like, okay, well, it's just getting that way every week. How are they going to up it next week? And then there's just going to be a point where it's like, okay, well, this is kind of stupid. Yeah, they're just throwing themselves through flaming glass tables and it's not even like a pin count. So, yeah,
dude, I totally agree, man. That is a very, like I say, that is a very good way to look at it. Some people aren't. Some people they just want more and more and more. What do you want AEW to do going forward? Actually, let me rephrase that. What do you think about some of the weirder stuff they're doing? For example, Chris Statlander being an alien, because I've had so many conversations about the alien in wrestling this week because, she became the #1 contender and then all of a sudden she's got a spotlight on her and everybody goes crazy. Especially, again, tying it into the ratings, you always get the lovely chaps that go, oh, it's because of this, even though it's clearly not. Now,
yeah.
The more I've thought about it, is it dumb? Yes. Is it the most, is it absolutely ridiculous? Yes. But I can't help but be somewhat in awe of it and somewhat fascinated by it because it's just so crazy. And I think when that stuff happens, it's when I remember why I love wrestling as much as I do, because you wouldn't be able to make them. You have to make it work in the context of what you're watching. But we wouldn't be able to do this in anything else in the world and get away with it. But in wrestling, you could have a wrestling alien and everyone goes, yeah, that's fine. Like we got a talking dinosaur as well, and that's fine. So what do you make of all that kind of stuff? Because, again, the devil's advocate point of view is to say that's more... It's not very hardcore, is it? It's kind of going the other direction. But do you like that stuff or no?
Well, let's put it like this. So you know what they're doing to Roman Reigns? I've heard you say it on Ups and Downs, where they're making Roman Reigns look like an actual dog.
I know.
Well, let's just say I know it's crazy. Well, let's say that Chris Statlander was in WWE. The absolute atrocity of her. Vince is probably saying, put her in an alien suit, put a bunch of green makeup on her, put her in like a UFO coming down on some pay-per-view, maybe WrestleMania. We'll have you coming down on a weird alien spaceship thing. I think, I don't know. I mean, I kind of like it, but again, it is kind of weird. But if she can make it work, then, I mean, obviously it works. And, I mean, to me, my point of view, I mean, I saw her live, and I don't know, the vibe of the audience. I don't like using the word vibe, but the audience. I don't know. It seemed like we were kind of into it.
Yeah, everyone says that.
Yeah.
Everyone. I need to see what they're doing with it. I agree. If she comes out in a UFO one week, I'm out. That's that's too much. But you hit the nail on the head. If it gets over and people like it, then it's the right thing to do. And, you have someone in that very company that proves that. Like Luchasaurus is he is a dinosaur. I mean, obviously, he's not a dinosaur, but that's that's the way he pitches himself as. And I guess you look at, some people say, oh, yeah, but he's getting good reactions from the live crowd. But, is he bringing in TV viewers? I'm like, well, it's not just his responsibility. It's the responsibility of everybody there. And I know... especially from my point of view, I don't mind. I think that stuff has always been there in wrestling. I just think we're overlooking it now because of things like
we have a dude that thinks he's dead, the Undertaker, exactly. But no one's, yeah.
No, that's exactly right. That's the problem. We're fine with that because we grew up with it when we were kids. And we'll happily accept that Kane is the Undertaker's brother because we grew up with it when we were kids. But when we're adults and we're still watching this stuff, as you should, there's nothing wrong with that. And then all of a sudden, you get an alien. Well, this is just preposterous. It's like, yeah, but if you were a kid, you'd love it. And I have no problem with AEW trying to go after all demographics. I really don't. I really don't have a problem with it at all. Oh, good. It's good to get other people's opinions on that stuff. So, I mean, I don't think there's anything else going on news-wise. Kofi Kingston has signed a new 5-year contract. In fact, all the members of the New Day have. Kofi has said it's probably going to be the last contract he's ever signed. Makes sense. I think he's in his 40s now. Exactly. Cain Velasquez apparently is going to return at the Royal Rumble. Care about Cain Velasquez? You're an MMA guy who didn't really give two hoots.
Oh, well, I mean, it's good to see big names. Of course, Ronda Rousey came and she was from, all that. And just big names, because I don't really watch UFC that much either.
But you know her name, right? Yeah, so it gets interesting.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And I know Cain Velasquez's name. But yeah, big names, the Rob Gronkowski thing at WrestleMania 33, I think it was. I'm not a big American football fan. I know. Bunch of people got pissed off just now.
Dude, you're allowed to like what you like, man. Don't worry about those people.
But yeah, I mean, I know who he is. He had a big thing at WrestleMania 33, even though. Do you think the XFL, he's going to be like one of the coaches or maybe even play? I don't know. I thought it'd be kind of cool.
I don't know, man. I mean, I'm intrigued about the XFL. Obviously, that gets going in February, which is one of the reasons why Vince McMahon wasn't at the TLC show the other day. Because he's focusing on that. Look, I want it to do well because why not? Like, so many people want things to fail these days. I'm like, I think it'd be far more interesting to see what Vince McMahon does with a successful football league as opposed to what he does with another failed football league. So yeah, I hope that he does it. I don't think he's going to try and do too many things that are novel or gimmicky because I think he wants people to take it seriously. But yeah, I'm intrigued by it. Like, I do quite like American football, and while I don't necessarily feel like I need any more in the off season, I'll give it a go. I'll check it out. And it's like anything, like going back to the AEW debate. If you watch something and you like it, you're going to keep watching, and if you don't, you'll stop watching. And both of those options are perfectly fine. If they are putting something on that makes me feel like it's worth my entertainment dollars, I'll give it to them. And if I don't, I'll go spend them elsewhere. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see what they're going to do. I'm intrigued to see what their plan is. Hilariously, actually, I meant to talk about this when you brought it up. I forgot. You talked about WWE making everything comedy. Have you heard this rumor doing the rounds that the idea for the revival is to turn them into a comedy tag team? So
no way.
You hit the. Who knows how true it is, man? Like basically Dash or Dawson, I can't remember which now because I watch too much wrestling. But one of them tripped over the SmackDown set last week, and everybody thought it was a mistake. But now Dave Meltzer has come out and said that he has it on somewhat of an authority that it was done on purpose because they want to turn Dash and Dawson into a comedy tag team, which to me seems crazy. I think actually that sums up your point brilliantly because the Revival are genuinely an amazing tag team, and the way that they choose to use them is by doing a comedy gimmick. I mean, we'll see. We don't know. I report the news. That's what I do.
Sorry for interrupting, but do you remember the Usos thing where they pranked the Revival and put what was it, itching powder?
Yeah, I remember.
I mean, I'm not that big of a fan of the Revival, but even I just face palmed as hard as I could with that. I
tell you why, because the problem I have with that is I don't know who it's for. Because it's not for people like you and I, because I feel like that's quite... Look, some people will be into immature humor, and that's cool. But I think by and large, it's not for people like you and I. And I don't think it's for kids either. I don't think kids find that stuff funny. Not all kids. I don't know. That was just really, really confusing. But no, I do remember that. And I remember being... I just remember being confused. I get that a lot in WWE. Like I'm very confused. I'm very confused with what we're doing here. But hey ho, and that's pretty much everything else that's been going down. Again, we're in late December, and in late December the wrestling world just calms down. But the good thing is that in sort of a couple of weeks we will pick back up again. But talking about the year in general, obviously we had a conversation beforehand, and we're going to run down basically our top 10 wrestlers of 2019. We have already done the top 10 wrestlers of the decade on this show. You can go back and listen to it in the archive should you so wish. Dude, do you want to go first or do you want me to go first? It's your call.
I might have to think about my top 10 a little bit. So if you want to go first,
That's all good, man. That's all good. Well, my number 10, it's a weird one because obviously in my own personal top 10, I'd put him higher, but he has to get in, and I don't think he actually can get in higher, would be Rusev, because every year, I should say, I hope that Rusev will get a push that I feel like he is deserving of. But the coolest thing I thought about Rusev this year is, once again, for probably the third or fourth time, he was put in a situation when the story was not good on paper, where the idea was always going to be a struggle, and it was always going to create controversy, which must be hard when you're a public figure. But I feel like he did the best he could. It reminds me of when they did the Summer Rae, Rusev, Dolph Ziggler, and Lana Angle.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
That was like, I think he dealt with that one better, but I think he had more, material to work with. But yeah, I think he's a consummate professional for one. On social media, he makes my day, so that's all good. But the big thing is, again, I'm always impressed by the way that he can adapt to whatever he's given. I mean, I would hopefully, we'll put him into a more serious position once this feud is over. But as a guy that is a fan of him, I'm always impressed how he'll just be like, man, I'll get it done. I'll do the best I possibly can. And that's why he sneaks into my list, even though he spent a lot of this year injured. But hey, I'm a fanboy, so that's just how it works. Dude, you got one?
My number 10, I gotta think of everyone I know. Probably Luchasaurus, now that I think about it, because he got so over with AEW. Well, with every place he's been to, he's so over. And I don't know, he definitely deserves to be on the top 10. I couldn't figure out an exact spot, so I'll just put him on 10, and yeah.
No, I think that's fair, man. And the thing I like about Luchasaurus, again, it's similar to the Rusev thing we just talked about. One, he took a crazy gimmick that not everyone could have got over, but he got it over. There was an amazing quote from Stone Cold Steve Austin the other day when he was like, the two ways to make sure you're a success in wrestling is either turning your own persona up to 11 or coming up with a crazy gimmick that is so nuts it's a can't miss. And pretending that you are a wrestling dinosaur, I think it does it. I think you can do it. And again, he buys into it so much. His Twitter game is strong. Yeah, no, I like Luchasaurus a lot, and I think he's going to be a massive deal. A massive deal at one point, because the fans love him already. I mean, everyone, AEW loves everybody, but I feel like there's something there, and it's weird enough in a good way that people will jump onto it, or at least that's what I'm hoping. I'll keep everything crossed. My number 9 is going to be Daniel Bryan.
Of course, yeah.
I'd love to put him higher up in the list, but I kind of feel. Look, Daniel Bryan never has a bad year. Daniel Bryan is excellent. He was my wrestler of the decade when we talked about those, again, because of everything that he's done over the last decade. It's just, and I loved all the stuff with the new Daniel Bryan, the environmentalist, but I kind of feel like WWE, they didn't lose their way with it, but there was never, it kind of came and then it kind of went again. Like everything, and I loved the stuff in the summer with the Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan, Eric Rowan investigation stuff, and Luke Harper coming back. But it was quite clear at one point it was meant to be Daniel Bryan who was the guy that had done it, and then they changed their mind.
I thought that's what they were going for.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, but they changed their mind.
Do you think they had that at the very beginning? Like, oh, we're going to make it look like Daniel Bryan, but then it's not going to be? Or do you think they just changed that at the very end?
Well, as far as I know, I don't know officially, but yeah, I think they was meant to be Daniel Bryan, and they changed it halfway through, because there's no way. Because I remember watching all that feud. The best thing about it was, oh, cool, I'm going to get a Daniel Bryan Roman Reigns feud out the back of this. And I remember that one we had back at Fastlane 2015 or whatever it was, and that was great. And that was when Roman Reigns was kind of in a bit of a treacherous position. So I thought, well, if we can actually do it now when we have our defined bad guy and our defined good guy, this could be great. I mean, I'm being a bit harsh on him because he did, that Kofi Kingston match at WrestleMania 35. Kofi obviously was responsible for it too. But Daniel Bryan added so much to that. But I kind of felt like ever since he lost the belt, as usual, I don't think WWE knew what to do with him. But again, all of his matches, every time he picks up a microphone, the way he's able to interact with the crowd. I mean, I think when Daniel Bryan, when all is said and done and he's retired, I think everybody's going to look back and go, man, this is one of the best. This is one of the best guys ever. I really, really think that. I mean, maybe I'm completely wrong, but we will, we will figure it out. Dude, hit me, number 9.
Oh, I was going to say Daniel Bryan too.
You can say it, man. You can say it. You're allowed. You're allowed.
All right, Daniel Bryan, because of his cool haircut. No, I'm kidding.
Talk about that. What do you think about that, man? Kind of going back.
Does he not look like Orange Cassidy a little bit?
Well, he does, yeah, and he looks super young now. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but he does look. I think I prefer his old look. I mean, I've only seen it once, right? I got to let it play out. But from an instinctual point of view, I was like, nah, I think I prefer his old look. But it's cool, right? I like the way that Bray Wyatt has reduces people down to to whatever they were before. I think it's cool.
I saw this thing in a comment section. I think it was one of your videos, but I'm not sure. It was somebody that said, one thing I'd love for them to do is to have the Fiend treat people differently based on the interactions Bray's had with them in the past. AKA use 2 different finishers. The hurt would be the mandible claw for people such as Randy Orton, who have really hurt / devastated him in the past, or heel, which would be Sister Abigail for people he doesn't believe have hurt him so much.
That's great. I
think that could be a cool thing, maybe with like maybe not as noticeable as like, Ric Flair whenever he wears red, he he's gonna lose, maybe something like that, I
know, totally, dude. I think there's all these ideas with Bray Wyatt and the Fiend character, and I love all of them. I guess the thing that I would like sort of WWE to start hinting at that a bit more. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was kind of left for us to figure out, which I enjoy. I like that. I think that is mature storytelling. They don't slap you around the face with it. But I think it's cool sometimes that they color in the gaps, and I feel like they could do more. But yeah, dude, I think that's a great shout. I think it's why Bray. Again, I'm going to talk about Bray Wyatt later. He's obviously going to be in my list, but he is somebody that is just. He completely gets the wrestling business. I know not everybody likes his matches, but hey, we've got plenty of good workers that can give me good matches. Bray Wyatt gives me good characterization, he gives me good promos, and he gives me good presentation. And that, to me, is just as important when I'm watching pro wrestling. So,
of course.
I absolutely love him. My number 8 would be AJ Styles. Pretty much the same reasons as Daniel Bryan. I mean, I thought that the heel turn he had mid-year was a bit out of nowhere. But again, he's so good as a face. He's so good as a heel. That OC group feels completely natural. I'd like them to see them be a bit more dominant, but I get it. That's WWE booking for you. But yeah, I mean, at this point, I don't think you can argue that AJ Styles isn't one of the best wrestlers
Oh, of course.
of all time.
Yeah.
He never has bad matches with anybody. I know that, you can say his feud with Nakamura the year prior wasn't necessarily what we were hoping for, but everything
it was a little lackluster, but still, it wasn't horrible.
No, I don't think he's capable. It's disappointing because we raised our expectations, right? That's the issue. So yeah, and ever since his match with Randy Orton at WrestleMania, right through to his match with Randy Orton on that Raw that we saw recently, as we're talking, he's just someone that I think gets it, and again will be an absolute legend once all is said and done. So that's why I throw him in at number 8. Have you got one, my friend?
I wish I had like a set list ready and I had all the pro wrestlers I could see with me, but so that's why this list may sound a little bit weird. But number 8, probably Kevin Owens.
Good
Not
shout.
gonna lie. Yeah.
Why?
Well, I didn't. When did he return? Fastlane? Did he come back?
Yeah, he came back in
Fastlane?
February. Yeah, he did.
Yeah. I don't know. I thought that match, was pretty good, and then it's been on a full sprint ever since. Well, I wouldn't say full sprint, but not a jog, But yeah, I love the match he had at War Games. I know I'm being a hypocrite because I said I didn't watch NXT, but I watched War Games. Because I heard them say, "Oh, there was a huge return." And I was like, "Oh, I wonder who it is." And so, Kevin Owens. I was like, "Damn, that's pretty cool." But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I really like the stuff they were doing with him. I know you said you didn't like the talk shows, what was it, KO?
It's not that I don't like the KO show, he calls it. It's not that I don't like them. I just don't know why WWE has to go back to that every single time. That's what always baffled me. I was like, why can't you come up with any other ideas?
You just prefer other things, yeah.
I just prefer variety when I'm watching wrestling. I just think it's quite nice. So yeah. That's
I mean, I kind of agree with you. I think Miz TV. I'm sorry, I'm getting off topic, but
no, go.
Excuse me, Miz TV. I think they can do without, maybe, or just bring it back, like, I don't know, maybe sometimes like they did the Christian show. What was it, the Peep Show?
Yeah.
Once, maybe a long time ago, but it was it was, in my opinion, one of the better ones because they didn't do it in a while. But I mean, I really like A Moment of Bliss. I mean, I don't know, I just like that. I don't know what makes it so good, but I like Moment of Bliss. But the KO show, I think, falls in the middle between them. I don't know how I feel about it because KO, obviously, Kevin Owens is a great person on the mic. He's just fantastic on the mic. But that's also the reason why they shouldn't have a podcast. I mean, not a podcast, a talk show, because he's so good on his own. But I mean, he does it so well. But yeah, I don't know.
No, I love Kevin Owens. I mean, Kevin Owens. I've just looked at my list. I would probably put Kevin Owens at number 7 because, again, he's kind of Rusev to me. He just adapts to everything so amazingly. He's one of the best promo guys they've got. I'm kind of excited about this Seth Rollins heel turn because I'm hoping that it means we finally get to push Kevin Owens as a proper as a proper good guy, because that was the shame in February. It certainly felt like he was coming back in to have this good guy run, but then they had issues with other guys that they were pushing.
But come on, we all knew Kevin Owens was going to turn on Kofi Kingston, right?
True, but I think that was all down to sort of Daniel Bryan getting injured and whatever else happened around there.
I see what you mean, yeah.
I don't know if that's true, but to me it felt like that was the right time to, and the fact they went back to it later in the year, but who knows. But what I want from 2020 more than anything is for Kevin Owens on Raw to be treated like a massive deal. The top babyface, we don't muck around, he wins matches, he wins championships. I don't know whether he's already been pigeonholed. Like, I don't know how management see him, but he's been in WWE for years now, and I've never felt like, he's never got old to me. And I'm always, he's one of those guys, especially when I go see live shows, I'm always looking forward to seeing him come out. So yeah, I'll put him in at number 7. I don't think it's his best year, but I don't think that's his fault. Like, he really, I respect him massively for the crazy booking that he had to endure. So yeah, number 7, I will throw Kevin Owens.
That's good. I don't know why I said that so weird. Not my number 7. What did I say? Number 7, or was that? Did I say Kevin Owens was my number 8?
He's number 8. Yeah, you got number 7.
Oh, okay. Number 7 would be um ooh, uh Marty
Good
Scroll.
shout, dude. He's in flavor right now as well.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah,
Mm-hmm.
dude. Hell yeah. Why so, man?
Um, I just somewhat started watching Ring of Honor on Fight TV sometimes whenever I see the notification or whenever I can. Um, sorry, but all the stuff when I didn't watch him, there was still so much talk about him or what I could see. Um, if he's still such a big deal and I don't even have to watch, well, I mean, I do have to watch obviously, but like I don't know, there's still so much talk about him returning to AEW, and I don't know if he's still that big of a deal. I mean, come on, he's definitely worth something. And I asked you a question on the question, ask me anything or whatever on the Patreon. It was should Marty? I think it was this week's. Should Marty join the Elite or feud with them?
Yeah.
I obviously want him to join the Elite, but
Do you think he'll go to AEW though? Because at the moment we have no idea what he's going to do.
well, in my opinion, yeah. um, you know, even though he said, I don't know if it was just like, like a maybe an angle, like long-term booking when he said that what friends, I don't have any friends, because an interviewer asked him like, hey, all your friends are in AEW, how do you feel? I'd have to find that interview or whenever he said it. I don't know if it was an interview or not. Um, but I don't know if that was just a thing they were doing or if he actually believes that. I mean, I don't think he believes I don't have any friends. I don't know if he believes that they turned on him or not. But I don't know. I just feel like AEW, like, they either need they either AEW either needs to take hold of Marty or Luke Harper. Do they need both? I mean, it'd be preferred, but they don't need both. I mean, I'd love to see Luke Harper going to Japan and wrestling all them, but I mean, I don't know.
I think either or are going to be massive deals. I know Cody Rhodes have come out and spoken about both of them. But yeah, I would love to see Luke Harper in AEW because I think that he is an underrated talent and he deserves a big platform on a big stage, which I think AEW can offer him. And to me, Marty Scurll hasn't even hit his peak yet. I think Marty Scurll, no matter where he decides to end up, that's I don't mean this disparagingly, but that's just personally why I'd rather he didn't go back to Ring of Honor, because unfortunately Ring of Honor right now is going through somewhat of a quiet period. I'm sure it will get back to its old prominence soon. But yeah, I think if he goes to All Elite Wrestling, where again there's still some issues to work out, but it does have this rabid crowd and people are going to be behind you, I think he could take that next step forward and start moving in the direction. But as I always say with this stuff, they got to go where they want to go. Sometimes people get so mad when they don't go in the direction that they want, but it's their lives, it's their careers, they know why they're doing it. So yeah, it's a good shout. My number 6 would go across seas. It'd be my man Will Ospreay. Now, Will Ospreay to me is a dude that is just getting better year in, year out. I'm not saying you have to enjoy his matches. I know people think it's just, spot, whatever. He's so athletic, and the way he started to put matches together and the way he started to sell and the way he started to tell more stories, again, especially over this last 12 months, to me has just been phenomenal. And I'm in awe of him as a wrestler myself because I don't know how he does pretty much 75% of the stuff that he does do. And, he has changed the game. Him and Ricochet, I feel like, have changed the game. I know there's others. I know I'm kind of just steaming through that a bit quick. But those two guys' names would absolutely be in the conversation. And, Ricochet's done great as well, but he's, kind of been fighting the WWE machine. Whereas Ospreay has kind of used the freedom that he's had to really, I think, stamp his name on the professional wrestling world in 2019, which is why he gets in here. He absolutely smashed it.
Yeah. My number 6 would probably have to be, can I say like a tag team as
course,
like
man.
SCU.
SCU. Well, dude, they've had a good year, man. The AEW Tag Team Champions right now.
Yeah. I don't know. I never really heard of them or watched them till Double or Nothing. And I don't know, I just was hooked from the beginning. And I don't know, I just really enjoy them. I think what they do on being the elite is great. This is the worst town. I mean, I haven't heard that in a while now that I think about it, but still, I mean, it's pretty good stuff, and you can't help but like Scorpio Sky. I mean, come on,
Yeah, he's
you know.
good. What did you think of his match with Chris Jericho?
Ooh, I knew they weren't gonna have him win, but I really wanted to see him win. Oh, and those pinfalls were so close. I was literally jumping out of my seat, like, "Come on, man!" But but yeah, I thought it was a great match. Um, Maybe not a 5-star match, but maybe 3.5, 4-star match. I mean, it was pretty good to
Yeah, no,
me.
I enjoyed it. And were you surprised that they held on to the tag team championships? Because I had a sneaking suspicion that the Young Bucks may win.
Yeah, I was really surprised. Um, yeah, yeah. I was pretty surprised. I thought the Young Bucks would do it, but maybe it's because I mean I know why Cody Rhodes said he wasn't going to get the title anymore. I think unless he already explained it and I just missed it. But I mean, like if he did say he was going to challenge for the title over and over again, or whenever it was convenient, people are going to say, "Oh, it's because he has power." You know, he can book himself into matches. So I think it was kind of smart that he put himself in a position where it's like, okay, well, I can't have any title matches or else people would turn on him. And I don't know if they're going to do that with the Young Bucks, but
Well, that's the argument
yeah.
right now, isn't it? Are the guys that own the company not booking themselves in the right way? What do you think? Because obviously they've gone the opposite way to something like WCW, where
Hmm.
all the main guys made sure they were always in a position of power.
Hmm.
Would you rather say Kenny Omega and Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks were winning more, or do you actually quite like the way they've done it? Because it's the antithesis to what WWE, what wrestling usually does.
Hmm. Um, I think I mean, Cody Rhodes did a good job with him and with the title situation. Uh, but like, I don't know. I would really like to see the Young Bucks start winning a little more. And Kenny Omega, yeah, I don't like what they're doing with him right now, where he's going through like. Well, actually, I do like it. I'm thinking of Adam Page. I'm sorry. Um, but yeah, I think Kenny Omega could start having little higher up matches, quote unquote, because like I'm not saying the matches that he's having right now aren't good, but I feel like he could have some bigger, better matches.
Yeah,
Um,
that's fair. I'd
you
agree
know,
with that. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think there's not work to do, but I think there's places we can go,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and that we should start looking into. My number 5 is a cheat because I got 2 people there, but they kind of represent. This is based on the year. Let's not forget too, because one side is
Hmm.
Seth Rollins and one side is Kofi Kingston, and that's
Hmm.
because there was a time when those two dudes were the world champions. They were both beloved, before Seth Rollins went and got hated. And
Yeah.
it was just wonderful. And Becky Lynch was the champ as well. And it was just wonderful to tune into Raw and SmackDown every single week and have a good guy or good girl, if you look at the Becky stuff, and that be your champion. It's been so rare since we had, well pushed. And Kofi Kingston especially. Kofi Kingston probably, gets in front of Seth Rollins because I know it got a bit dull towards the end, but he always won, and he always won clean, and he always
Hmm.
won strong. I was like, this is great. A good guy, babyface champion that's never looked like a moron. He understands what he's doing. He's great in the ring, and he comes out the other side as the winner. I found the whole Seth Rollins fall from grace, for lack of a better term, phenomenal. But yeah, there was a time there, sort of post WrestleMania, for a good few months that I was kind of up to Extreme Rules, and then we did the whole Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch thing. I didn't think we needed that. But otherwise, I think those two, Kofi Kingston throughout the year, but Seth Rollins for the majority of the year. And I do actually prefer where he is now. I think he's much better as a heel. But yeah, those two guys, I think,
Yeah.
have an interesting 2019, if not a good one. So that's my number 5.
My number 5 probably have to be Alexa Bliss.
Why not, mate?
I mean I can't help but say that I'm a big fan of hers. But I don't know. She's the recovery she's had. Oh, excuse me. Obviously she had a good spot at the Royal Rumble, and then going on to. Did she have an injury before or after the Rumble? I thought it was before.
I think she had a few injuries this year. I think there was one before the Rumble, yeah.
Yeah, but then then hosted WrestleMania. I thought that was pretty good. But then she wrestled all the live shows for a while because she was injured and she didn't want to. I think she said she didn't want to make a fool of herself live on TV. But then had her first match in a while, and I thought it was pretty good. And then with the Nikki Cross thing, I'm really glad that they kept Nikki Cross as her friend instead of what they did with Nia Jax. Because you can't help but be a fan of Nikki Cross either. She's just, I don't know the word. She has a lot of charisma, in all the right places, and yeah, I feel like she can, put a little bliss on anything she's given. Make it a little better.
I like it, man. I like it a lot. Well, kind of continuing that trend. My number 4 is Becky Lynch.
Oh, that was mine.
Yeah, well, that's good. Well, we'll talk about Becky Lynch for a while. I mean, so many people roll their eyes now because that's just what the internet does. But Becky Lynch, rose to prominence in 2018. She was good anyway, but she grabbed wrestling and WWE by the throat and she shook it around. And I don't think that can be understated. Like she brought new people into the product. She, made it, if you were a young girl, you had someone to look up to. And, she won over sort of the mainstream, or the hardcore wrestling fan, I should say, too. And she always backed it up. I know some people didn't like the transformation into what they saw as a Conor McGregor type persona. But I think,
And I kind of liked it.
I do too. I think you can't just stick doing the same thing all the time. She sold merchandise, she sold tickets. Some of her, what do you call it? Meet and greet lines were out the door, through the roof. People wanted to see her. People are inspired by her. This has been her year. The end of sort of, if you take sort of November 2018 to November 2019, it's hard to argue. Maybe some people on the same level, but nobody surpassed her. And I think she needs to be in all chats like this, and that's why she gets in there at number 4.
Yeah, I was gonna say she was gonna be mine. But the only thing I really disliked, and I don't think it was her either, it was because they were trying to make, at the same time when Kevin Owens was doing all this cool stuff, they were trying to make Becky Lynch, they called, I don't know if WWE called her, I think so, but called her like the modern day Stone Cold Steve Austin or something like that. And I was like, no, that would be Kevin Owens, if anything, because he's on the mic, talking about the management a little bit. I think it was, what was he talking about? He was doing this thing with Shane McMahon, and he's putting himself in the spotlight and all that, and having, he was having, Kevin Owens was having, I'm sorry, I'm tripping over my words. He's having backstage brawls or parking lot brawls, and, I don't know, I just really thought they should have called Kevin Owens the modern Stone Cold Steve Austin instead Becky Lynch, but everything else, it's pretty good.
Yeah, no, dude, absolutely. And so was my number 3, which is Adam Cole. I don't think NXT has had an incredible year in 2019. I mean, they made it onto TV. Whatever the reasons, I don't care. They made it onto TV. And that's a huge deal, and Adam Cole is a major reason for that. And I'm not saying he carried the brand, because I think everybody there does their bit, but he was the NXT World Champion. And that Survivor Series weekend, he was having good matches with everybody. I'm still amazed by that bump he took at War Games, Absolute War Games 3. Absolutely crazy. He's got everything that WWE loves. I think he can adapt to any situation. I think if you weren't a fan of Adam Cole before this year, you absolutely will be now. And I was beforehand. I liked him in Ring of Honor and PWG, but he's just great. And I think, despite him not being as big as some of the guys in the main roster, I still think with the right booking, you can find a way to make him work. And I think Adam Cole is great. I think it's an amazing year. I don't know who else would have been NXT champion, and I'm a little bit of a fanboy. Adam Cole kicks in the ass. So yeah, there you go. That's my number 3.
Oh, that's a good number 3. But mine has to be Bray Wyatt. He's captured the audience, just because if you look at it on paper, and if you have anybody other that doesn't watch pro wrestling, you could watch like the Firefly Funhouse, and they'd just be like, "What the hell is this? Like, what is this?" But that's the thing. It's just, okay, what is this? Okay, let me show you next week's. Oh, okay, I'm starting to get it. Let me show you the next week's. Oh, wait, this is actually pretty good stuff. But yeah, I mean, he's had great matches other than the Hell in a Cell one. But yeah, I love what they're doing with The Miz than the home invasion, because I thought if they're trying to make him creepy, that's pretty freaking creepy. right there. Having him, then all of a sudden, all his dolls are playing with the Miz's kid. That sounded disrespectful.
I know
What's
what you
her
mean.
name?
Monroe. I
Yeah,
know what you mean.
yeah,
Yeah.
Monroe. But yeah, I thought it was pretty good stuff. Not gonna lie.
No, dude, he's my number one. Spoiler, but we'll talk about him
Ah,
now. I'll do my number two in a minute. It was close, but he gets my number one for all the reasons you just said. Because in April after WrestleMania, I was like, what on earth are we doing, WWE? What are
mm-hmm.
these weird things? And then to have the Firefly Funhouse, for that to get such a reaction. Again, some people did start watching it, not in huge numbers, but at least in my circle. Everybody wanted to see what Bray Wyatt was doing. The fact he was able to rehab a character that was pretty much dead at one point, all of it was it was ingenious and it was inspired. And it's a shame it hit that wall so hard with the whole Seth Rollins Hell in a Cell thing. But that's not his fault. He does
No,
what he's
not at
told.
all.
He does what he's told to do. And I think at this point, like I say, as I said earlier, you can just. It's okay now to say that Bray Wyatt, in terms of characterization, is one of the best. He just is because he gets it. And okay, some people go, well, he couldn't play this character. Well, maybe not. I understand this is very similar to his,
Mm-hmm.
his Bray Wyatt persona. I think what sealed it for me is when he came out of TLC as the Firefly Funhouse Bray.
Yeah,
And oh
that was
man,
interesting.
the happiest guy in the world. I was like, I'm enjoying
Yeah.
this. I'm massively entertained. And I think that was the turning point for me. I was like, yeah, I just love this. I wasn't a massive fan of the match. I thought it could have been done in a different way, but who cares? In that moment, I was having a great time. So yeah, he would be my best. He would be not even a best wrestler. That's what I'll call this video, but even that's a little bit not the right word. Just the guy that has impressed me the most, given where we were in April to where we are in December. And it's been a great ride, and I just appreciate it. And I
But
appreciate him.
But you know what I think they should do? And this is just me being kind of funny. You know what they did with the back, I think it was the either Ruthless Aggression era or the Attitude era. They had the Conquistadors and everyone thought it was Edge and Christian. Then they
Oh
had
yeah,
a backstage
tricking him.
segment
Yeah.
where it was like the Conquistadors, then Edge and Christian walk in. And I think they should do that with like having the Fiend show up on Bray Wyatt's Firefly Funhouse to seal the deal that it is two different people. But then again, I'd be like, is that kind of ruining it though? Because like that's his whole thing is that he has split personality disorder
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something like that. I've heard of that before. I don't know. It'd be either a way to. I don't know if it would help it or hurt it.
Well,
But
I think he would make it work. That seems to be his skill.
yeah.
But I love that whole Conquistadors thing. I still remember that. It was gold. Edge and Christian, man.
Mm-hmm.
They're absolutely the best. Dude, who's your number two? I'll do my number two in a minute. You can do your number one, but who's your number two?
Chris Jericho.
Chris Jericho. You know what? I haven't put him on my list. That's an oversight. I've screwed up there. Chris Jericho, he's not, but he should absolutely be on my list. I know why, dude. But tell me.
Because he's made everything. We keep saying this together. He makes everything work. I mean I love the lexicon of le champion. It was just funny, the Page thing. It's like, oh well, I'm not gonna wrestle any member of the Scorpions. That was funny. Kenny from South Park, Kenny from whatever. And then when he said Page, I couldn't help but laugh. But yeah, I mean, to he said himself he didn't expect a little bit of the bubbly to get over, but it did, and I don't know. He's all over my Twitter feed. I mean, his personal Twitter could be a little bit better, but I think it's pretty good.
He mouths off. Chris Jericho don't give a shit. Yeah.
I love the thing. I think I only saw this because I was watching ordering room service with who was it? The Best Friends, when he said like he thought Walter was the worst pro wrestling name. I thought that was funny, but I was like, okay, come on, come on,
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it. It was okay, but yeah.
Chris Jericho's just proven once again. He's like Bray Wyatt. He's just proven all of the good things he's kind of underlined in 2019. He absolutely rocks. I'm going to put him as a joint number two. I think it kind of works anyway because my number two, given that I've done my number one, would be Cody. Cody is just.
I didn't think about that either.
That's all good, dude. So we between us, we've covered it. But from where he was in 2016 to where he is now, he's the most over guy in AEW. He's brilliant. I look forward to seeing him I think he's the best storyteller in wrestling right now. I was going to put Okada on this list, but I didn't just because I haven't caught all his matches this year. So, I'd put Okada in that bracket as well. But yeah, Cody in terms of mainstream American wrestling is the best storyteller. I love his entrance. He's just been awesome. He really has. And again, I'll throw Chris Jericho as there. Because again, one of my favorite matches this year was Chris Jericho versus Cody. So they made that work together. But without, Cody leaving and betting on himself, we don't even have All Elite Wrestling in many ways. So he gets a shout out, and I think he's only going to go from strength to strength. Dude, I'm intrigued about your number one. Who is your number one?
Oh, other than the fact that we have the same first name, kind of. Jon Moxley.
I forgot about him as well. Oh, I've screwed up my list. My list sucks. My list absolutely sucks. I've missed so many people.
Well, it happens. I probably missed a lot of people too. But for Jon Moxley being number one, first off, he's just an amazing dude. He's funny and all that. But he recovered from MRSA. At the beginning of the year, I listened to his podcast like 2 times. Not his podcast, but the one on Chris Jericho's.
Yeah.
I listened to it twice. Just having a horrible time in WWE. And I thought they were going to do I thought he was going to do the same thing CM Punk did and just be like, okay, I can't do this anymore. Well, I think CM Punk left because of, him not being treated right backstage with the doctors. I'm not 100% sure, but still. But, excuse me, that was rude. But yeah, he wasn't getting anything done. I mean, I was still a fan of it, but I don't know. I thought it was still okay. But he wasn't a fan of it. He was having a horrible time. What did I say? He was I wouldn't say he was getting depressed over it. Well, I mean, I would, but
yeah, I know what you mean. He sounded like he was in a bad place, right? He
very bad place.
Yeah, and he got himself out and he completely turned it around, right? And I totally agree. He should have been in my list. I've completely screwed it up. Jon Moxley, in many ways, has been, the picture of him standing on all the casino trips at Double or Nothing is one of the most iconic of 2019. He has been absolutely brilliant. And if you didn't like Dean Ambrose, you probably like Jon Moxley because he's just, he has come out and said, this is the pro wrestler that I want to be. Yeah, absolutely. 10
He's just had an amazing year.
Yep.
Other than the start, then had a horrible injury. And I saw it, one of the videos, the promotion said it should have killed him. And I was like, for him to still, have that and then recover and then have an amazing full gear match and then still come out week after week. Like, I think that might be something John Cena couldn't do. Even though he's an amazing, he can heal really, really quick. That, super Cena strength all of a sudden. I don't know. I feel like that would be pretty tough on him.
Yeah,
but
I know what you mean, dude. Jon Moxley, he's been amazing 12 months. There's no two ways about it. It's been absolutely phenomenal. He has kicked all the ass. Dude, it's a good list. There's a good damn list. I like it, and I think between us, I think we got everyone between us. I mean, we won't have done. People will now be going, you didn't put Naito in there, you didn't put Tanahashi in there. That's the problem with top 10 lists.
You didn't put Michael Nakazawa.
I know. Yeah. Well, the Young Bucks weren't in there. Kenny Omega wasn't in there. Like, don't forget, Kenny Omega was having incredible matches with Tanahashi at the start of the year, but you got to go with your gut. Of course, let us know in the comments below if you're watching on YouTube what your top 10 wrestlers are. Get mad that we haven't mentioned them. That's the idea. And if you're listening to this on podcast, head over to YouTube, sign up to my YouTube channel, and then you can moan there as well. But John, thanks so much for joining me today, man. That was really fun. I enjoyed it.
Thank you for having me. I had a great time as well.
Good. I'm glad. And thank you very much for the patronage and supporting me too. And thank you to all patrons. I mean, end of the year. Not sure we'll get another one done before Christmas. So genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, anybody that has supported me throughout 2019, you have no idea how much it helps. I'm a freelancer, by trade. So you allow my wrestling career to go on. You allow my podcast to go on, my YouTube videos. Anything I do that I do off my own back, you make that happen. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Enjoy the last week of professional wrestling of the decade. We'll move into 2020. We'll see what AEW's got up its sleeve for its big pay-per-view in February, and of course the Raw Rumble. And let's not forget we've got Wrestle Kingdom as well in a couple of weeks. People love Wrestle Kingdom, first ever done over 2 nights, so maybe they got some big ideas too. But in the meantime, check me out on YouTube, search for Simon Miller, Twitter, Instagram at SimonMiller316. If you want some last-minute Christmas merch, SimonMiller.BigCartel.com and Patreon.com/SimonMiller316. Have yourself a lovely little day, and I will talk to you again soon.